This is Todd Nuke'em, and I have a couple of the fine gentlemen from Kings of Leon with me today. We got Nathan, and Matt from Kings of Leon. How are you guys doing so far?
Doing
Great.
great.
Happy to be
How are you?
here.
I'm good. So this takes me back. I've been spending some time with the new album. Can we please have fun? And believe it or not, we've met before, and this would have been like when you guys were just kids with the first record. Like I think it was when we were playing Molly's Chambers. So
Wow.
you'd come through Salt Lake initially. I think this might have even been your first time through, and we had you come into the building and on the studio. And I'm the afternoon jock, and I had you on the show with me. We were talking about everything, and I hadn't really thought about that until I got the new record, and there were some tracks on that. I mean, obviously Mustang totally takes me back into that like Molly's Chambers vibe, and even the track "Nothing to Do" kind of takes me back to that early stuff that you were putting out. I'm not hearing things. This was kind of a vibe that was happening with this newest record a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what people say. We did, it's funny because we didn't really think about it. We just thought, they were a couple of rockers or whatever as we referred to them on the album. And then when we released Mustang, their comments were crazy of like, oh, the Kings are back with their like old sound or their original sound. And no one had really said or thought that before we released it. And then yeah, it's just getting all this attention as being like the older sounding, material.
I mean, there are tracks on there like that, but then again, there's a couple of other ones. The one that for some reason, and maybe it's just the phase of life I'm in, but um, Ballerina Radio, I think that's track one on the record. It's just so like somber and reflective to me. Um, tell us about that track.
Yeah, Ballerina Radio. There are wind chimes at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
And those were wind chimes that were actually on the front porch of the studio that we did it in here in Tennessee. And then I believe Scene, the last song on the record, I think there are wind chimes at the end of the record as well to kind of bookend it. But Ballerina Radio was one that we did in Los Angeles. We had gone to Los Angeles to mix the record. We had recorded in that studio previously and on previous records. So we're like, why don't we go ahead and get the tracking room as well? Because we're right across the hall. Mixing is a very mastering and is a long, tedious process. So yeah, we had the tracking room and went in there, and Caleb kind of had been playing around with an idea and a melody. And we ended up doing Ballerina Radio and Split Screen were both done in LA while we were mixing the record across the hallway. But yeah, Ballerina, that one's a very, I don't know, it gives me a real like melancholy kind of feel when I listen to it.
Yeah.
But not in like a sad melancholy. It's almost like a very familiar kind of melancholy vibe for me. It just sounds very vulnerable.
Yes, absolutely. And that's going to be one of my favorite songs you've ever done. And I don't know why I'm like relating to that one for some reason so much, but I just think it's a beautiful track. And, you mentioned the wind chimes, and that really kind of sort of is sort of the essence of the song. It just said, it's just that sort of peaceful. I don't know. I like it a lot. I don't mean to get all like fanboy here, but that's just a great song.
No, I love
Thank
it,
you.
man.
I love it too. Yeah, I was really hoping, we had all the songs finished, and I was really hoping that one would be first, and it made its way to be the first one on the album. I just think it's a great opener, and I feel the same way you guys do about it. I think it's probably one of my favorite Kings of Leon songs.
Well, and it is because like because I was, with Mustang, that one is just kind of rough and edgy and kind of like the first couple of records. Um, you know what it reminds me of? It has sort of this like vibe of like the Replacements. You're familiar with them, obviously. I hear a little bit of that kind of that garage sort of little tiny bit of punk hiding in some of the earlier stuff. Obviously, a lot of the Southern stuff too, but
We're fans of the Replacements.
Yeah.
they're the most underrated band in the history of music, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
should be superstars.
For
Anyway,
sure.
so I was kind of in that mood, and then when Mustang comes out, and I'm going back to listen to the Youth and Young Manhood record and Molly's Chambers and the Bucket and some of those. But then when I get the full record, yeah, that Ballerina Radio is the opening track. It just kind of took me a bit by surprise, but God, it brought me into the whole album. It's like a nice little entrance to
Amazing.
the what
I
you're
love
working
to
on.
hear that. Love it.
And when you go into to finalize a record, how many actual tracks were you dealing with to sort of whittle it down to what ended up making it on the album?
At one point, there were 15 songs?
There was a lot. We had more this time than we usually do. I think it was just kind of how creative, like the creative space we were in. Caleb brought a lot, and I had a couple, and I think maybe Jared had a few.
I had this snare hit thing that I brought.
No, I think I don't know how many we had, 16 or whatever, and that just we didn't try to like work too hard because we had so many, so we wouldn't, like, if one wasn't working, we would just move on, so I think this is the first record in a while where every song that we recorded made it onto the album. Usually we have like a couple of what we call B-sides that don't make the album, but not this time. Everything made the album, made the cut. How many is on the album? 12?
I think so, yeah, 11 or 12.
Yeah. So that's what we ended up with. It's cool.
I brought this up when we first met, more than 10 years ago, when you first came through and you guys were much younger and hadn't been on the road as much and hadn't done this is like the 9th record, is that right? Good hell. And for those who don't know, the band, it's 3 brothers and a cousin. And I remember asking this question initially. I'm like, so how does everyone get along? And the answer back then was, oh, this is fine. It's good. Now you're this deep into the career. Have you had any good, like, brotherly fist fights along the way?
Between Molly's Chambers and now? Oh, sure. Those all kind of stopped. Once we started having kids of our own, we're like, we'll leave the fighting to the children.
Daddy's got work to do.
Yes. No, we definitely had our fair share of disagreements, family disagreements, but no, that's why it's so hard for people to believe record number 9. They're like, man, you guys seem so happy and like just so positive. And no, this record could not have come at a better time in our lives. I believe we were all just caught us all at the right time, right space. We were all just kind of in the same frame of mind of just being positive and loving life and being very appreciative and grateful for, not a lot of bands get to make 9 records. So we're very lucky to get to do what we get to do. And, that's not lost on us.
I kind of get a sense, and the name of the record, Can We Please Have Some Fun? I kind of get a sense that that's sort of where you are, at least with this record and in life. You're established. There's no, it's not like the second album where it's like, oh my God, we got to follow this up with a big multi-platinum. You're just making some damn fine music. Is that correct? Is that a proper assumption?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We're just at a point where, by your 9th record, you've played every chord progression known to mankind. So, there are ways that you can be creative and bells and whistles you can use. But at the end of the day, the greatest tool you can have is actually having 4 guys in the room that actually are enjoying what they're doing and want to continue doing what they're doing. And I remember Eddie Vedder told me one time, he said, the first show you go out there and you don't still have that little tiny bit of nervousness in you and that little bit of a fire, he said, you can hang it up. He said, because that's your fuel. That's what keeps you going. And I can honestly say I'm still just as nervous walking on stage now as I was first show. So I like that. I like to have that fire.
I'm not as nervous. The very first show was the most nervous that I've ever been in my entire life. I feel a little bit better now when I walk on stage, but I'm still nervous.
There's still that little buzz of energy, though, of course.
I'm nervous, right? I'm even nervous right now.
Oh, it's okay. I won't bite. This is fine. So I think it's fun to look at a band like this that's had, the fortunate career that you've had. Now, when you're young, I've noticed this as I've aged. When you're young and things that are wonderful start happening, you're just like, oh, cool, great. But like now you've seen the business, you've seen the industry. To go back in time, what would you say to your young self as the first record came out and your first big tour?
Buy Bitcoin, buy lots of Bitcoin. I don't know, man. It's just, I mean, it might be different for Matt and Jared because they were kids. Jared was 15, maybe almost 16. Matt was 17 or 18. So I've had moments where I'm like, man, I kind of feel bad, like we stole their youth, like they didn't really have a choice. It was like, you're in the band and here's your passport and we're going on tour. So, I look back on it and say I wouldn't change a thing because it molded us into who we are today. But I don't know, Matt and Jared could look at it like, I didn't get to go to college. I didn't get to, have a normal life like most teenagers would, a prom, whatever. So I don't know. I wouldn't change anything because it was all just great memories of stuff that shaped us into what we are. But Matt, who knows? Maybe he wanted to be a metaphysicist and we fucked that up.
I was definitely happy to miss all that stuff, the prom and all that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit too nervous to change anything. I'll just do it all the same. Be way too nervous. Have you never seen a sci-fi movie? No changes.
So you're about to go out on the road. Not seeing a Salt Lake City date yet on this leg. Maybe we'll get you in the next future. But another big tour going on. Has that gotten easier as you've progressed in the career to be out on the road?
Yeah, we get our routines down.
Yeah.
We've got it down now. It's a well-oiled machine. It's super fun. We love it, and we're excited. Yeah, I think we're probably gonna tour this album a lot, so we'll be around your way.
This is the first leg of the U.S. tour. We'll hit all of our other markets for sure. We've had a few that are like, I can't believe you're not playing like Oklahoma. We're not even playing Oklahoma on this go around, and we're from there. So we're gonna circle back and hit all of our spots for sure.
Well, excellent. Well, the new album, Can We Please Have Some Fun? It's just a great experience as an album. Just take it all the way through. And I appreciate you spending some time with us. Hopefully we'll catch up in sooner than another 10 years or so.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And Salt Lake City. See, I'm not coming on tour, but my wife is opening for Stevie Nicks on Tuesday or Monday night in Salt Lake City. So
Really?
Yes.
Well, who's your wife then?
My wife, her name is Jessie Baylin, is her stage name. But so there will be a Followell playing in Salt Lake City, just not
by virtue of marriage.
Yes, by way of marriage.
Awesome. Have you met Stevie? Now I gotta ask these questions.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. I'm a brother of the moon. I have my necklace that was bestowed upon me, so I'm in.
That's cool. Well, very good. Well, lovely chatting with you, fine gentlemen. We'll catch up later and hopefully we'll see you in town soon.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
Guys.
Cheers.